Hey everybody, welcome to the InPsight show. I'm so excited to have us on video and on audio right now for everybody. So if you're just listening to this audio on my RSS stream, make sure that you head on over to my YouTube channel as well as my Patreon channel to check out the video version because you want to see the smiling face of my guest today. I am so honored to have on my pal and my colleague and just an all-around kick-butt Aquarian chick, Kathy Biehl, guys. She is, okay, I'm going to read this bio because it is worthy of every word, guys. So Kathy, all right, she lives on the bridge between intuition and the rational mind. And this is true. I mean, she can be one heck of a smart aleck, but she has got everything dialed in here. She's a professional astrologer and tarot advisor and all of her work, guys, it draws on her diverse life experiences as an attorney. So girls got it going on here. A small business owner, a performing artist and writer, and she and I were just talking about running record labels before we popped on here. She approaches all of this with a sense of wonder and keen research and a heck of a sense of real life, gritty sense of humor and a desire to explore human existence, guys. And one of the things that I really appreciate about Kathy is she's known for translating technicalities into mainstream languaging. And she contributed the chapter on astrology to Your Guide to Self-Discovery, guys. And that's Llewellyn Worldwide in 2023. She hosts her own show, Celestial Compass, and I've been honored to be on that show, on Om Times Radio and TV. And, guys, Best American Psychics named her 2026 Psychic of the Year, and she won the Om Times Media's Best Astrologer in 2022. So not only is she super cool and funny and approachable, but she's excellent at what she does, guys. Oh, and by the way, she does make killer salted chocolate caramels. So don't forget, because that's a very important part of our visit today, guys. So, Kathy, welcome. Welcome. It's wonderful to have you. You're welcome. And I just, before we get going on some of the bigger heavy-duty questions that, of course, I want to ask you today, I can't help but want to ask you about your record labels because, you and I both have in common that we have co-owned labels with people or worked on different ventures. And we were just talking before we got on here. It doesn't matter if you have 5 million artists or you have one artist. The same amount of work goes into distribution, promotion, the whole thing. And I think it's really important to empower women, business owners, and women artists. So, Kathy, tell me about your labels. And if you will start with the label whose name is Irritainment, I would be forever grateful.
Actually, that was Red Room Records.
All right.
For what we did was Irritainment. It was named for this very special place that existed in a garage, under the garage apartment of my collaborator. And if you gave him notice, when you showed up, he would go down and he would set it. And when he opened the doors, the disco ball was going and the Bee Gees Staying Alive was playing, and he had couches in there, and we would watch movies, and there would be driveway parties where all of the furniture would be moved into the driveway and various shenanigans occurred. And he and I had a duo that arose one night when we were both fairly tanked at a party. We were in this thing called Rude Dinner Theater, which it was just a sketch comedy.
That's so amazing.
Sketch comedy, and we were tanked, and he started doing Robin Gibb singing "Only a Woman," and I joined in as Yoko Ono, and this spawned. I had longish, thin hair then, so this spawned the collaboration, and we have one CD called "Inexcusable." Absolutely correctly named, and we did really, really bad arrangements. Like we have a bossa nova version of Stand By Your Man. And
Oh, wow.
yeah. Oh, it was so I had keyboard and sometimes we would both have guitars. So our tagline was two guitars, one keyboard, no sense.
Oh, man. I am so bummed I missed this because this sounds freaking epic, man. This sounds like what the world needs more of today. We need more levity. We need more joy. And of course, that's not to make light of all the very heavy, hard things that are happening. And one of the things I really appreciate about you, Kathy, is that, and I just generally appreciate you, is that in this time frame, you have such an ability to make really complex issues understandable.
Thank you.
And you're welcome. And I really, really appreciate that. You know, I work with a lot of angels, and when I'm in readings with people, they will ask me about, well, what's going on with the astrology? And I will tell them, I am not an astrologer. Okay. I can't help you. I'll ask the angels what they tell me is going on with astrology. I am not an astrologer. And one of the things I really appreciate about your form of astrology is that you allow yourself to make it real and usable. And for those out there who might just tap astrologers here and there, sometimes it gets a little clinical, which is fine. No shade on anybody else. It's just, I really appreciate the way that you incorporate the usable aspects of astrology. So it's not just like you're going to meet a tall, dark stranger. Here's a bunch of weird coordinates out of an ephemeris and something dreadful, you know, because I mean, what brought you to the style of astrology that you channel? And you're also a major psychic on top of it. So what brought you to that portion of astrology?
Well, it comes out, believe it or not, of my law practice because I tended to draw a lot of people who had never dealt with an attorney before, or who were artists or flakes or whatever, or just in dire situations. And I had to explain why I was doing what I was doing. So I started writing a lot. I wrote a lot about how you could. Well, I was very active in the gay community. I was assumed to be gay. I am not. I have a certificate being I'm an honorary gay man, and I wrote
right
a lot.
on.
I wrote a lot about here's how you set up your rights with your partner. And, you know, here's what a power of attorney is. Here's how wills work. Here's how you do this. And this was a lot in local papers. So I realized that it wasn't any good telling people what they needed to do and have them go, "What?" So it just kind of naturally carried over into talking more and more and more with clients. I mean, they can't deal with you giving them a whole bunch of aspects and you like expect them to know what that means. So I have to run a translation in my head constantly. Also, I did go to school in another country, so I am conversant with the notion that everybody has a different language, and information doesn't really work. What's the point of it if you don't present it in their language? So I've learned to turn things around and try to pitch things to people in the way that they are more likely to get it, because otherwise it's a waste of my time and their time.
Well, and one of the things, and there are many, many, many things that I deeply appreciate about you, and some of this stuff I'm just learning, like what a massive advocate you are and were for the LGBTQI community. You know, especially, I mean, let's be straight out here. Da-dum, psh. I'm here till Thursday. Let's be right out here. That was not a thing for a long time for a lot of people, especially people who, I mean, being an advocate was not a thing, especially people who had big professional careers. So to be an advocate, to be somebody who also stood in the gap for the LGBTQI community when it wasn't the new orange, okay? That's really, really appreciated. That's really appreciated. And I don't think some of our younger generations, and I'm glad they don't understand this, but I think some of our younger generations don't understand exactly how the world was when you couldn't even say gay let alone be gay, let alone have somebody say, well, who cares? Let me help you out here. So that's something that is noticed by me and appreciated. Also, it speaks a lot about your consciousness too. And you would be really surprised, sister. Well, maybe you wouldn't. You probably wouldn't. You're an Aquarius. About how many people are not okay with being associated with, like you said, I'm associated with the community. I am not a gay person, but you have your own official gay guy card, dude. That's huge. That's big, dude. That's good for you. That's excellent. So
I'm sorry, I was just going to say, I was one of the first attorneys in Houston who represented people with AIDS, much to the consternation of my mother. She was not happy with this. But I didn't even question it. Like, of course I'm going to do this. And,
Well, it's who you are. It's who you are. You're a healer. You are a bridge builder. You're a communicator. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, let's talk about... I have a Leo moon, so I personally love any kind of award. And I even love them when they're not mine. I just think it's freaking great. So, I want to talk about Best American Psychics, naming you 2026 Psychic of the Year. And I want to start with that one. How did that make you feel?
I was gobsmacked because I'm the only astrologer in the group. And I'm not horrifically, I'm one of the people who's been there the longest. And the description they wrote of why I got it was incredibly gratifying because it recognized integrity and teaching and passing ways of living on to people. It wasn't just, she's on the call lines and people say she's really accurate. It was... Mm-hmm.
It was an honoring of your true essence, of your true life work. And I think that should be pointed out. And all of my Aquarian friends, every single one, when I go and swing that spotlight on my Aquarian friends, they're like, come on, man. But I would really like to take this opportunity because when we have people in this field, and there are many, and the field is huge now. It used to be less folks in it because people just didn't want to poke their nose in and get laughed at or whatever. However, with so many beautiful people out there, to receive this honor is earned, Kathy. It's an earned honor, and that's why I wanted to bring it around to you. And if any of you are listening, you're welcome. If any of you are listening, you guys need to look this woman up, and I'm going to give her information out probably 30 times because I do have a Leo moon and I'm going to promote for her because she's worth it. Okay. So if you get over to her website, which is empowermentunlimited.net, you can find all of her services there. You can follow her on YouTube at Professional Aquarian, right? Mm-hmm. Like, that's awesome. And on Patreon. She's also on Patreon too. Patreon.com/Kathy Biehl, guys. And that's KathyBiehl. And we'll run those again at the end of the show. But I want to front load you with how to connect with this woman, because if you're looking for tremendous, straightforward advice, guys, find the people who will give you tremendous, straightforward advice. And Kathy, you are one of those people in my assessment of doing this for a hot minute. You're welcome. And one of the other things I want to ask you about is winning the Om Times Media's Best Astrologer in 2022. Now, how did you feel about that? Because there are some really great astrologers out there, and you are among them. So how'd you feel about that?
Well, I saw who the finalists were, and there were a couple of them that I thought, yeah, it would make sense if this person got it. So it was gratifying. And I will say, I have written for Om Times for years. My forecasts, my monthly and moon forecasts are in there, and I've been a host of theirs for a long time. And I know that the publishers appreciate the way I present information, but I'm not sure how the voting happened. So it was nice. It was like, yay, all right, I've been doing this, and somebody noticed. Thank you.
Yeah. And it makes me so happy in this time frame of the feminine. We're seeing women like yourself who are getting the opportunity to just get just your earned piece of the sunshine, man. That's how I would call it. I mean, it's your earned piece of the sunshine. And in this feminine time frame, it's all about how much sun can we share, you know? I had a friend of mine one time who, when I would have other psychics on, really great psychics like yourself, and this was years ago, back in the aughties, in the mid aughties, and this person said to me, why would you bring on other great psychics? I mean, doesn't that take business away from you? I'm like, no, that is ridiculous. There are 8 billion people on this planet. If we have this opportunity, especially with our women out there, to showcase amazing women, we are doing what we should be doing to build up our society and give permission to our younger women, our older women, our men, our folks who don't even need a pronoun out there to step up and be who they are. And that's one of the reasons I'm so excited to have you, Kathy. I'm so excited. I'm getting tongue-tied to have you on today. Jeez, that's rare, man.
Oh, yeah, well, it would be fun if we got to hang out sometime with a bottle of scotch, a couple of guitars, trading stories. God. Yeah.
Yes, you bring the scotch, girl. I will bring the tequila, and we will just have a notepad.
I have a tequila story in my latest book.
Oh, and what a powerful segue to what I have written down here, which is author. I love it. We're going to use that segue. Now, tell us about your books. Tell us about your latest book, and then kind of back time off of that.
The latest book is called Confessions of a Third-Rate Goddess, Traipsing Through a Life Gone Weird. I actually was called a third-rate goddess. At one point, I had a business card that said pseudo-food expert with an X, third-rate goddess, pretentious socialite. I forget what the fourth one was. A minister called me a third-rate goddess, and it was a compliment. So this book is a compilation of social observations. In the 90s, I lived a life that proved that what Candace Bushnell was saying in Sex and the City was like, you have no idea, honey. And so I wrote about, ambivalence and the difficulty of relationships and gender confusion and all kinds of strange things that would happen. Some of these were columns from a paper called the Houston Press, which was kind of like the Village Voice, and some were from my zine, which is called, give me a second, Ladies, Fetish, and Taboo Society, Compendium of Urban Anthropology. And this zine ran in print for 10 years, and it had a weird underground following to the point that the first time I went to Burning Man, they knew who I was at the gate. So I've been kind of in retirement since then. So this one is more about relationships and general weird stuff. The book before that is called Eat, Drink, and Be Wary, Cautionary Tales. It grows out of 20 years of being a restaurant reviewer and a food writer. I have been many things, many times, all at once. And this includes long think pieces that were cover stories for a gorgeous dining magazine about the cellular memory of food and the appeal of junk food, and then just a lot of kvetching. Mostly went into my zine of just unbelievable things that people did in public. I see food and drink establishments as somehow a giant platform for absolutely inappropriate behavior. So I captured all of that because I have this general belief of if you're going to do it in public, I am going to write about it.
That it's fair pickings. Seriously, if you're going to do it where people can see you, do not cry when someone documents you. That's just, that is astounding. So you're writing these books, which again have such a collective nature to them. And there is so much wisdom that comes out through a lot of this too. Even if you're framing the wisdom up as humor or whatever you're doing in that moment, it's so important that you have that opportunity to be able to put it through a lens. Again, that is accessible, Kathy, accessible. Mm-hmm. And that's something that I think is really important about you.
Some of my writing was people would like, this is like a running inside joke. And I went, just keep reading. Just keep reading. You'll figure it out. But thank you. Now, the other books are not as interesting at all. I have a bunch of legal stuff. My first book was a guide to internet research. That was a pioneering guide, and it was released.
That's cool, though.
The day the Bush v. Gore decision came down, and all the publicity went, so that's fine. And then I've contributed to several other legal things and like a dining guide, that sort of thing. But so I've got a list of maybe, I don't know, a dozen more books partially outlined, and I don't know. The world needs to settle down so I will deal with them after the world moves into what it's going to decide it's going to be. So, like, not this month, not next month, probably not until after the summer.
Well, and that conveniently leads us to the next portion of what I wanted to talk about. Always interview a psychic, you guys. They make your job so freaking easy. So one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about was your take on this unbelievable, just bizarre time frame, you know? And obvious, I did a live this morning on it on Facebook, because I have personally been receiving so many people will just rando reach out to me. And I probably do the same thing to you, I'm guessing. And just rando reach out. What do you think of this? What's going on? Why are we seeing what we're seeing right now? How do you feel about where we're at when we are dealing with going from what the angels talk about, from my perspective, the masculine time frame, we're square in the feminine time frame, where we're at, all the crazy we're seeing on a national and world level? How does this focus through your lens with your particular expertise?
Couple of things. First off, there's a huge, and there has been for a few years, maybe 14, air of unreality to things. Like, what we're seeing isn't really maybe what's going on. I see this year, this moment, this season as being shot through the wormhole from the old rules to being rewired to coexist in a really different way. And I was thinking this morning about how can I phrase this on this podcast in a way that is going to make sense to people. Rewiring is a key concept. Being able to, having the latitude to be more freely who you are is a key concept. And also, if you look at it as all the different, like, we're all reforging the chain, the link that we are, and then creating a new chain. But by chain, I don't mean weight. I mean, it's more like an electronic, I mean, our place in, each of us is getting stronger and more self-directed, but at the same time, figuring out a new way to coexist with everybody else. We're not supposed to be loners. Imagine the force of a whole bunch of self-directed people running in the same direction, which is what I think is going to happen.
And I would love to add to that is exactly what I've been looking at, you know, from the etheric realm, from these angels that come and talk to me, and how we are all coming together as a consciousness, as a people, globally, looking at this sociopathic, psychotic behavior that is not sustainable at all. And going, wow, you know what? I just choose not to participate with this. I'm not going to participate with this anymore. I'm not doing it. And in that, it is an action to passively say, I'm not participating. That is hard. Our whole world, right? Our whole world is based on selling chaos. Big money is in selling chaos. And I see this all the time. So when I hear you say this, it's interesting, and I'd love to know about the astrology on this, because in February, and we just crossed out of February, I was being shown that March was a time frame of things dying off, of deaths. And they didn't tell me what the death was. And I was also told at that time to not make a big deal out of it. I talked about it in some of my subscription groups and on other podcast outlets, but deaths. And then, of course, we're bombing Iran. And I was more seeing it more specifically about systems and people, but obviously people are dying with these bombings. So what kind of astrology are we looking at right now that would inform that, if any at all?
Though there is the solar eclipse that happened in the middle of February, on February 17th, towards the very end of the sign of Aquarius. Involves Leo, because it's the opposite sign to Aquarius. And solar eclipses on that axis frequently have a "the king must die" vibe to them. And there was an added influence. The ruler of Aquarius, Uranus, lightning bolts, sudden shocks, blowing things up, different perspectives, awakening, was in a catalytic relationship to that eclipse. Two important figures. That's when Robert Duvall slipped out and Jesse Jackson. But this is going to play out for months. And then we had, right, in the gauntlet between eclipses, so the second one is March 3rd. In the gauntlet between eclipses, Mars, men, military, action. Mars is a trigger. Mars also slammed into Uranus. That's when the bombing started. And then it activated the eclipse. So over that, all these things started happening, like implementing, moving forward on stuff from it. Now, Uranus will hit the degree of the eclipse on April 2nd. So we've still got more to come. It's like I think I said, like, I don't know if you were this kind of little demon child, but people I knew would get black cats and string them together and set fire and throw them in the sewer, and you would just hear this resonating underground. This is more like someone strung a whole bunch of sticks of dynamite together, and they're just... So, wow. And there are a number of leaders, and I understand. I know Trump was born on an eclipse. I understand Netanyahu was born on an eclipse, and the Ayatollah who just exited was born on an eclipse.
Wow.
But there's more that's happened. The head of Hezbollah also got hit. He's not with us anymore. And I think there will be more. I think there will be a lot more.
I agree. And March being a time of death of systems, death of people, it really was quite a thing. And these angels were, I'm going to paraphrase for the sake of time, but they're kind of like, don't get out there and say it's a time of death, okay? And I thought, well, then why are you telling me about it? And they said, well, because you need to understand what's coming so you can better help explain what's coming. And you can tell some people, but don't get out there and be like, this is a death time. You're going to sound like a crank. Don't do it. So I didn't. However, I figured there was some portion of this that was massively astrological. And what they've been telling me is that whatever is set in motion in March is going to blow to the ceiling in April. That's what they've been telling me. And it's just going to keep going. And by the way, for any of you listening to what Kathy said, I'm watching in the future, some people listen and watch this podcast. She's not talking about little kitty cats getting strung together and thrown into the sewer. Black cats are types of, they're firecrackers, guys. For those safe people who have lived safe lives. If you're not Gen X, if you've led a safe life, they're firecrackers. So, so when we loop around on all of this and we look at the great change that's coming, I am watching, and I'm so interested to see what your take is on this. I am watching people do one of two things. Either they're dropping their armor, they're dropping their shield, they're dropping everything and saying, you know what? I'm done fighting. This is dumb. You are not my enemy. I am done being turned into an enemy of yours. Let us come together and try to make this better. I'm exhausted. Or, if I drop my armor and if I drop my shield, who the hell am I going to be? My entire life is invalidated, so I'm going to go down with the ship. I'm watching both of these modalities play out. And what I think is so fascinating is we're getting more people, as I viewed, in the category of, I'm done with this. I don't want to do this anymore, than the latter. But the latter group, a lot of those people are also afraid of consequence, I'm seeing. So the I'm going to go down with the ship. If I'm going out, we're all going out. Who cares? It's better than explaining to my wife why I'm on the Epstein file list. What is your viewpoint on this type of energy? I've translated it one way. That might not be the way you're seeing it. What's your viewpoint?
I've got three things running through my head right now. I should do that. The first is, let me just say briefly what the second eclipse is about, because it feeds into it. The second eclipse, the full moon lunar eclipse on March 2nd, which again will play out over months, is a time of revelations, shining the light into things that either were in plain sight and we didn't see them for what they were, or in little hidey holes somewhere. And big revelations, big endings, big departures. And they have a lot to do with boundaries between people, and the dichotomy, the challenge of what I call empathic boundaries, being with somebody, being with other people and not drowning in their stuff, but also the dichotomy of faith versus logical thought. So the image that I put for my forecast about the Virgo full moon is a metal, like a commercial metal garage door that is shut, and it has "Sorry, we're closed" written on it. So a lot of things shutting down and shutting down and shutting down. But the other two things that go to the dichotomy that you're talking about, of the either let's just get along, or I'm going to be we're going to blow it all down, blow it all up. There are two different influences at work here, and one of them is there's been a massive concentration of planets in the sign of Pisces, including the North Node, which I say it's got a sign planted next to it saying "this way to the future." So we have had the planet that rules the social director of the skies, the planet that rules how we interact with each other, what we value. Venus has met with the North Node. She did that at that explosive solar eclipse. As soon as she moved into Pisces, by the way, that's when the monks showed up in DC.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
So now, as we go through the month, Mercury, which is our thought processes, retrograde, is going to meet with the North Node at the next new moon, which is on the 18th or 19th, depending on where you live on the planet, and it's the Pisces new moon. So our brains are going to play catch up to where our hearts and desires did, but they're not going to play catch up in a logical way, because Mercury in Pisces doesn't think in words. It groks, it soaks up, and Mercury's retrograde, so it's going to take all the little bits it's been finding and fuse them into this way to the future. So that's let's just all, let's sing at ice. Let's not go after them with machetes or anything. This is the non-violent, we're just going to band together, stand together end of it. The other, if I'm going to burn everything down, has to do with two asteroids or dwarf planets that are traveling together in the sign of Aries, which is very masculine. It's Pisces is sort of like divine love, or, I'm just going to escape completely. It's absolutely unmoored from worldly existence. And Aries is, out of my face. It's ruled by Mars. It's very aggressive. It's very militaristic, and just interesting point. On the 6th of March, Venus moves into that sign for the rest of the month. So we've got massive warrior goddess energy coming to the rise. But so these two guys, one of which represents our wound, our abiding wound, Chiron in Aries, I see as toxic masculinity. This is, I'm just going to keep throwing bombs at you, even if it's hurting my people.
Oh, man.
And Eris, the sister of Mars, the goddess of discord. She's traveling with Chiron. Now, my colleague that I do my political astrology videos with, Louise Eddington, Cosmic Al, calls Eris the table tipper. She is the one who, in Greek mythology, threw a golden apple at poor mortal Paris when he was standing among three goddesses, and the apple was to be given to the most beautiful of them. And there was no way he was going to win. Somebody was going to get him, no matter what.
Yeah, that's a bad place.
And his choice then led to the Trojan War. So,
oh man.
So we've got this really, really fiery. We're just going to go kick people's. It's not even rational. It can be anger driven, and the other one is either blissed out or lovey-dovey or finding the softer way of doing things.
I am just sitting here marveling at your descriptions about this, because I love to hear about mechanics of things, right? I oftentimes am on the, well, this is what the energy is, blah, which is fine. And that's fine. I'm really into physics. I'm really into science. I love to hear about the mechanics of how things are put together. And I'm cracking up about this Pisces aspect. I'm cracking up because there is this overwhelming push in the ethers of like, just walk off and let it drown and just do your thing. So to be disclosing, I'm a Pisces with a Leo moon and a Cancer rising. And I have a bunch of my planets are in Aries, Sagittarius. I mean, a lot of fire in there. So I'm really weirdly. What's that?
I said, surprise me.
I know, right?
I knew there was fire. I just didn't know where it was.
Oh, yeah. I got all this weird, oh, God, Venus, Saturn, almost right on top of each other. They're 1 degree off in Aries in my chart. And so it's just crazy. And so I'm thinking to myself, I am seeing this. Before I say what I'm going to say, I would like to put out the disclaimer that I'm not claiming to see the perfect way out of any of this, okay? Having said that, I am seeing this snaky way to get through the canyon on this. I'm looking right at it as I go through this, and I'm thinking, well, my God, that's all this Aries and all this Pisces and all this, you know. And honestly, I'm laughing about the Pisces thing because some of the Pisces, man, our lesson is to stay in your body and stay engaged. Do not just, go wafting off like some big poof into the sky. Well, you can if you want, man, but it's going to make your life weird. So, get in there, stay in there, Pisces. This is important. So when I hear about all this, boy, does that make sense. And I also see from the psychic perspective, and again, I am so looking forward to you weighing in on this. I am looking forward to see people making some, I don't mean deathly fatal, I mean fatal. I'm putting finger quotes up for those choosing to listen to only the audio here. Fatal error coming up of saying things they can't take back, doing things they can't take back. And that is going to be its own karmic lesson. When you come down like a hammer to the point where, and you are in a sense of what I would call as a former pastor, false righteousness, you're high on your own sense of righteous hatred, and you bring that hammer down and you break something you can't fix. I would simply put out a cautionary note to folks. If you don't want a yellow flag on the play, football fans, don't be holding. Okay, no holding. Don't grab the face mask. Watch what you're going to do coming up, because that is going to be so easy for all of us to do coming up. I'm seeing that. How would you frame that up, if at all, in terms of what you see coming or feel coming or observe coming?
I want to invoke a major influence that I haven't mentioned yet that I think is everybody's guiding force to do what is absolutely right for you. On February 20th, a new 36, 39-year phase started. But it started with a planetary meeting at a place that has never happened in recorded history. I don't say that lightly. I know people who have been doing tons of research, and the last time they could find that has happened was before recorded history. So we have kind of like a rebirth of civilization going on.
Wow.
Saturn, which gets a really bad rap. I took a course on Saturn. It was in Houston. We had a phrase we would use, and you have to say it with this accent. Saturn is my friend. So Saturn rules structure, order, doing the right thing, consequences. It wants to contain. It wants commitment. Yeah. And it met with Neptune, which is the most boundless influence in the sky. How do you contain that? Well, what I see is putting structure to creativity, major manifestation. I have an article at Om Times about 2026 being the year of the rise of spiritual warriors, because this is basically the energy that's at our core radiating and getting us going. They met at 0 Aries at the very, very first degree of the zodiac. Aries doesn't, no offense, Aries doesn't think, Aries acts. And then it maybe stops and goes, what did I just do? So what I see happening from this is everybody has their own direct connection to their spiritual guidance. And it's like brought a lot of people back to life and given them a sense of mastery over their own creativity.
Yes.
And so this is really, so point being, get quiet, notice what you feel the urge to go do, and that is what you do. This is, maybe later you make a little project management spreadsheets and you figure out how you're going to go about it, but to get it moving, it comes from that's just an impulse. Tarot people look at the Ace of Wands. That's what each of us is, something just blossoming and happening, and there you go. So I don't know if that completely addresses what you're saying.
Yes.
But if you go in that kind of framework, you will do what is appropriate for you. And maybe it's appropriate for you to get your block knocked. You know, I don't know. But probably not. I mean, I really see, because this little lineup, okay, this set things in motion. And by the summer, all of the other outer planets are going to be dancing with this energy in a way that rewires everything in us and how we do things. All of the outer planets, which are collective influences from Jupiter out through the solar system, have moved from mud, earth, and water, which they've been wrapping up old ways of doing things, and they're all, by the summer, they will all be at the very beginning of air and fire. Highly, highly active, a lot of stuff going on. Again, rewiring. There is a moment at the end of August where there's a probability of a lot of things kind of like stabilizing in a way that we won't think is possible at this point.
Wow. Okay. To add, to braid on to the bottom of that, I have been seeing, these angels have been showing me that by the middle of the year, things are going to start clicking into place like Legos. Click, 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 click. And the click in is going to seem fast, like all this has been slogging, being weird, blah, 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 blah. And then click, 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 click. And here is this new modality coming forward. And I've been seeing it energetically from a 51%. The 51% rule, when 51% of anything crosses a line, that's going to tip the balance, period. All you need is that 1%. Well, we have far more than the 1%, and we've had more than that 1% for quite a hot minute now. So that we're going to see the physical world, right? And laws and all kinds of things starting to click into place to make solid to take form of that which has already been theoretical, thought, spirit, wishes, emotions, blah. So I'm listening to this. I love talking to you. I'm listening to this, and this is so interesting because I'm like, you're talking, and I'm like, yeah. And by the time we get to August, they're showing me the thing are like, okay, here we are. which loops us back around to what about all those babies out there? What about all the babies whose entire everything, identity, work, everything is based upon the old world? When we have all these Legos snap into place, and obviously we're not going to go from one system to another just like that. There's going to be a little transition there. Yet moving from that space to this space, that's where I see the mosquito on the windshield happening. You know, there's going to be, and it's, I chuckle because it's sad. And I don't know what else to do with it. So I awkwardly chuckle. Yet it is this impact of, here it comes, and I'm just going to keep hovering in my spot and not move. And wow. So that is some fireworks that I'm looking at as this takes form. And by the way, Kathy, back in December of 2025, I did a predictive forum for some folks and recorded it and whatever. And what the angels brought through to me at that time was that 2026, they were using this funny little word in the language that they speak, which is all tonal, and I couldn't get it. So they had to put a bunch of words together, and it amounted to the year of the absolutely clean slate. I mean, we're just wiping the whiteboard down. We are starting from, we're just starting fresh. It's not retooling, redoing, anything. It's just the year of the clean slate. And I thought, well, that's interesting. And you're talking about rewiring, redoing, bringing in this whole new system. And here's this feminine time frame. I, for one, am very excited about this. I'm not so excited about some of the violence or the fear. You know, fear gets people acting weird that I'm looking at. That doesn't seem to be predominant, though. So with your psychic sense, how do you feel the second half of the year is going to play out now that we've laid out kind of the first part of the year?
I don't think it'll be nearly as tumultuous. I think people are going to have a lot of freedom of movement and go, I can do this, and make up a different way of being. And then once we get past September, it's a hell of a lot calmer. There is a stretch. Do you get that too?
No, I absolutely. I'm sitting over here, for those who are not watching the video, I'm flailing like, I just don't want to interrupt you, Kathy, because I love every word you have. It's true, though. I'm seeing this exact same thing. And I'm seeing once we get through the center of the year, the middle, then things start to kind of calm down. And by the time coming out of August into about the first 5-6 days of September is where we kind of shaking off all the chaos. And then we're just kind of settling. And it's going to feel weird, but I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, there is a what just happened stretch from October, the middle of November. We have Venus, which rules everything we value, relationships, social director of the sky, blah, blah, blah. Venus has a retrograde from that time period. And in November, Mercury is also retrograde in some of the same area as she will be going through. So we'll be looking at what are my relationships, who's in my life. Probably thinking about a lot of people from the past. Ghosts tend to reappear during both a Venus retrograde and a Mercury retrograde. So there'll be a lot of retrospection and looking at what do I want now, So that'll be a weird deep dive. And I'll just throw out there for those who pay attention to these things, there is a Supreme Court justice whose nomination and hearings happened with Venus retrograde in Scorpio. At the same time, she will be retrograde in Scorpio again. That's all I'll say.
We say with a finger to the mouth.
Let's just say beer. That's your key, beer.
Oh, God. When I look at our time frame, I am astounded that we are here. And I'm not at the same time. Part of me is like, well, of course we're here. Yet at the same time, I'm thinking, man, the times we had, the near misses we had to actually avoiding some of these timelines that we are currently on, one back in 2016, before that even, I mean, there's so many, and after that, there are so many little multiverses that have woven themselves together to bring us precisely where we're at. And I'm going to dig. We're going to kind of peel the lid off of some deep dive here, because you mentioned, and I've been seeing this also, you've mentioned that when there's a lot going on that we're not seeing, there's a lot of look over here while we do this over here, kind of like the end of The Wizard of Oz when Toto's pulling the curtain away and there's that little dude and he's like, do not pay attention to the man behind the curtain, So from my perspective, and you can speak to as much of this as you feel comfortable. How about that? Is that, because some of it's kind of, wow. We've had so many layers of weird energies layering in to create control mechanisms that are contrary to our natural order of peace, love, and harmony on this planet for such a long time. And it seems to me that the Great Mother, Earth, is kind of like shaking some of that influence off and going, really, guys, are we going to do that? I mean, I appreciate our off-world cousins. I appreciate our, whatever you want to call them, secret societies, cabals, whatever, where people go crazy with all that. But really, isn't it time that we just really sink into our enormous collective power as a species? And that's this overwhelming arc that I keep feeling. But boy, am I feeling that. We'll just call it underground stuff. How's that? I'm feeling that underground stuff punching up from the bottom. Just, it's not going out with a fight. Is there any of that you would like to speak to?
I've been thinking lately in the aftermath of things that I have read from various files and documents that have been released. I've thought, man, it's all been a framework that was imposed on us. I feel like we've been living in the Truman Show for most of my adult life.
Yes!
Yeah, without getting into specifics of anything.
Yeah.
So, I would say that the last, not that it's ever going to go away, but that Venus retrograde period ought to be incredibly revealing for, oh, there's that monster coming up. Let's get it. Oh, here's another monster. Let's get it. Yeah. And the eclipses speak to that as well. So, I just want to throw in sideways to all of this.
Please.
Early April is going to be very tumultuous, and this is when those influences are probably going to really, really engage in the behavior that is known as extinction burst, because we will have a majority of planets in the sign of Aries with still a few bodies in Pisces. So it's very steamy.
Oh my, oh my, oh my.
Yeah, so there'll be a lot of on the rampage going on, and it's easy to just get overwhelmed and go, oh my God, what's the point? We're losing. No, we're not. That's why they're fighting so hard. So if things get really, I know it's hard to think what could be more than what we have seen. Well, every time I see something new and go, oh, I wouldn't have thought of that, and it just keeps getting worse. So just know that there's stuff going on that we don't have. We, as normal, decent human beings who just basically want to live our lives, don't have the bandwidth to even imagine. And I have a great imagination, and I see some of this stuff and goes, how would you even think of this? God. So there'll be a lot of that being fought for, a lot of turf wars as we're shooting through this, but it ends up with, oh, no, you don't. Click, bam. And then, it's like somebody flipping a switch 2/3 of the way through April. So be of good faith. Be of good cheer. Follow the energy that's in your core. And be a badass. This is the year to be a badass.
Yeah.
We all have permission. Yes. It's our job. We all have a mission. Be a badass.
I love that. I love be a badass. One of the things that really... you put an interesting point that I want to expand on here. One of the things that in the metaphysical realm, I guess you could call it genre, whatever. I was always kind of a fail in that realm. especially in the mid-aughts, coming up in it, because I was not fluffy enough. I was too plain spoken. And I had a lot of pushback from the metaphysical community because of that. I was a rock and roller. And I didn't really see the value for me. Now, everybody's different. Everybody has a different delivery style. No shade on anybody. I'm just talking about me. For me, there was no value there to be, reach down and talk to your spirit. Tell me about your spirit guide. Let's sink into the golden light of love. I'm rock on, man. It just was not my background, right? So when I hear you say be a badass, I personally feel very informed by that. I personally feel like you're talking right to me. And everybody's got a different badassery, right? We've all got our own version. I mean, I used to run a band, right? So there are things there are 70 or 80 great, really cutting one-liners that come to my head. And I'm like, well, I don't think I'm going to choose to say that. Doesn't mean I don't think it. So I'm like, oh, girl, do not let that out your face. Don't do it. So I know you're the same way, and you are an attorney, and you have this Aquarian brain and that wit, and you're just lining them up there. And our choices, guys, our choices are going to be so deeply important. They're always important, you guys. But coming up, what we have is that our choices are really going to have, I see a boomerang of karma, Kathy. That's the best way I could put it. You throw it out there, and it's just going to come right around and poke you right back at the eye. And you're not going to have a half a mile of a boomerang turnaround. You're going to have about 12 feet. And you're going to be just letting go of it, thinking you're just all that in a bag of chips, and pow, there it goes in your brain pan. It's going to be a really fast turnaround on what we put into the world. Those are the energies that I'm seeing. So I'm listening to you, Kathy, talk all about Aries coming in and I just see a powder keg. I see this explosion. I was telling my Patreon group, all these deaths are going to happen. March is a death month, and then pow, here comes April. And it's just blowing everything so high that 22 miles away, there's going to be little bits of rock coming down. And now, with your explanation of that makes a lot more sense. So I really do like the tasteful way in which you also engaged all the things that are going on underneath of everything. Because, that's just a web one could get tangled into, and we'd be here for 10,000 years, although I would love it, but it's very dense and it's a lot. So, we're coming up towards the end of this show, and I have a little bit of a soft end on this show. Sometimes we're out at the hour, sometimes we're out 10 minutes over, whatever. When the universe goes, you're done, okay, is when we're done. But one of the things I want to ask you is, what do you feel is one of the most helpful bits of guidance that you could give people who are really truly feeling lost right now? And let me tell you, lots of people are lost. I hear from them. You probably hear from them too, okay? I hear from them all day long, 24/7. People who are part of the heavy MAGA movement and don't know what to do with themselves. People who are so far out left, they had to kind of step off of that because their lefty friends are like, maybe we should go and do crazy things and disrupt in a really disturbing way. And these folks are like, oh, come on now, that's becoming what we don't want to be. What would be some bits of wisdom that your badass self might pass on to folks who are kind of finding themselves with no home right now, emotionally, sociologically, sometimes even politically, and maybe even spiritually?
First off, step away from the info stream now and again. Step away from all the chatter, and go do something really nice for yourself. It's real important to clear your own energy out and get quiet and figure out what is yours and what's somebody else's. And that's actually part of the imperative of the Virgo full moon lunar eclipse that happens on March 3rd and then plays out for months. So that's thing one.
Wow.
Thing two, the next eclipse family, the one that started with in February, invites everybody to get their own little flame in really nice shape and just to let it shine and stay away from the people with the water pistols or trying to put it out, And don't try to win over the people that don't even notice that you're there. Just notice who gets your flame, who you feel warmer around. And maybe it's 2 people, maybe it's 3, maybe it's just you crafting in your house, doesn't matter. And gradually all little flames, companion flames, find each other. Like if anybody ever went to a midnight church service on Christmas Eve and someone would light a candle from the back of the church, and by the end of it, as it spread, the entire chapel was illuminated. That's what we're moving to. So I want to acknowledge that we have been living for quite a long time, I would say at least 10 years, with the sensation of a screwdriver stuck in our brains, that somebody is going. So, you're exhausted. We haven't even gotten to the post-traumatic stress syndrome point. We're in the persistent traumatic stress experience. So acknowledge that and give yourself credit for still being able to put one foot in front of the other. Take breaks, do nice things for yourself, and it's important to get your own little nook of the universe in a way that you're happy with it, because then it magnetically finds the other little happy nooks of the universe. Just trust me on this.
Yeah.
And you're doing your job by doing that. Each person making their own little corner of the world better. And maybe all you do is smile at a cashier, and you have no idea the ripple effect that could have. So just
right on.
Yep. Little things end up being really, really big things.
I love that, because we come from such a alpha American culture, oh God, man, the sociopathic consumerism that eats everything and must churn no matter what, be the authority, the number one, the blah. Wow. And it's given in my mind, it's given such a false positive to what it takes to be a leader or make a difference. Right? Because we all make a difference. And man, I would hear that as a kid, we all make a difference. And I'm thinking, well, you look at my personality and I'm like, yeah, but I like to really I want to throw it all at the wall and blah. But we do, you guys. Kathy's right. The tiniest action that is not negative means it's positive. The tiniest action that's not negative, even seen as what could be considered spiritually translucent or neutral, is not negative. Okay? So even that tiny little bit that we do makes a big difference. And you know what's so wild about this, Kathy? Again, I'm not bringing this up to draw attention to something I did earlier. It's just weird how this works out today. That I woke up this morning and did this whole live on Facebook about how we are collectively, with our own natural evolution of not wanting to participate with garbage, this is the Cliff Notes, turning into this big granite rock face where the old world is just smashing into it over and over, and the old world is damaging itself by running into this. We're not doing anything. We're just existing in a collective that's like, wow, I'd really rather not hate everybody. This is getting weird, man. So it's fascinating that this conversation that we had has looped around, and I got that shove from the angels to put that out there today, and I did. And Kathy, I'm going to ask you this as we're just kind of ramping our show down here. Mm-hmm. Are you finding that the universe is calling you into not to necessarily abandon parts of your work, but is calling you into either additional parts of your work or to retool and reignite in a completely different clean slate sort of way former work that you've done? Have you felt any of that in your personal sphere?
Not yet. What's happened with me is I need to move. And that will change a whole lot of things. And it's like, I don't have choice. My landlords I need to move. So, and I've been here a long time. So I don't know, then do I make myself in a different way once I get someplace else? I don't know. So I've just been carrying on with whatever my marching orders are on a moment-to-moment basis.
And the needing to move. Which, by the way, this is going to be one of the very best things. Spoiler alert for you. This is going to be one of the very best things that ignite a whole new way of you being you in the world, even though it's a complete butt pain to move and have to move. That's scary and weird. Yet it literally is going to move you. They're just showing this to me right now into a space where you're going to be like, oh my God, I would have never done this if I wouldn't have been here and unearthed this stuff in these boxes and met these people. And here I am in my fantastic Aquarian way of putting all the pieces together. So even though this is probably, I'm guessing, and maybe I'm projecting on you because I hate to move, but it's probably no fun. However, you know, this time frame for you, you're going to get that gift of, okay, where am I going? What's the new thing I'm doing? And I've been getting weird prompts to do stuff I've never done before, as well as to retool and bring it through in a different way, stuff I used to do a long time ago, in addition to whatever we've got cooking, right, in our life. So I think it's really important too, and I'm glad you chose to disclose the fact that, oh my God, I've got to move this. You didn't say this sucks. I'm saying it sucks for you.
No, and it's closing down a really important chapter. I mean, astrologically, it makes all the sense in the world that it's happening now. So it's closing down something big.
And when we allow that to happen, like this big close down that you're talking about, then we give room for the universe to be the universe, you know, and to bring in all the cool stuff that we are not expecting and that we don't even know hardly exists and all the things. So as we go into this, I wanted to just kind of put a highlight on that because my work is going to be changed. I'll still do what I do, but I'm bringing in other parts of things. And Kathy, you're putting this closure on a big piece to open up a new venture that you're not even sure about yet, but it's coming. I'm looking at it. So this is all coming in. And guys, it's important if you're listening or watching this podcast to recognize that what Kathy and I do is watch universal signs all the time. Okay. And even the both of us I'll speak for myself. I'm even sitting here going, weird. Wow. Okay. Well, I guess I'm just on a need to know basis. Wow.
Yeah, we are this year. Yes, very much so.
Yeah. And so if you're a person out there going, well, there's something wrong with me because I'm not sure what's happening. No, dude, the both of us are like, okay. And this is what we do. Okay. So you're just part of the human club with the rest of us.
Well, part of that energy this year is that we have energy pushing us in a direction, but we can't see what the direction. I mean, we know where to head, but we can't see where we're going. We can't even see more than like a step or two in front of us. It's I use an example of like if you're playing a computer game, and the road. It's like, okay, now I see 2 steps ahead of me. Oh, now I'm sort of okay, and you just keep kind of stepping and stepping. You go with that Saturn Neptune energy inside of you.
And I love the way you describe Saturn. When I try to talk about Saturn energy with clients, and again, I am not an astrologer, I refer to Saturn as the grumpy 1950s dad, you know, because that energy that comes through, what are you doing like that for? You're being a damn fool. You're going to eat cat food when you're 90. Plan better, you know, whoa. And for, you know, we little water people, like I'm just this Pisces and I'm like, why are you so grumpy, man? God. But my Capricorn friends are like, what? Isn't that just how you live your life? What?
I know.
Their ruling planet, Saturn, right? So Kathy, I want to say one more time, if you're joining our podcast halfway through, that this is my dear friend, Kathy Biehl. She is an astrologer. She is an author. She is many, many things. She is a tarot reader. She writes for Times. She's so many things, guys. And I want to make sure you know where to get a hold of her to access her insights, because people like us who do this job, we're all looking at the same waterfall of information, but we all have incredibly different angles on it, and we have incredible ways of describing our angle. And you never know who's going to absolutely resonate with what you need in that moment, you guys. So let me tell you how you can get a hold of Kathy, because she's amazing. All right. So you can get to her on her website at let's try this one more time. empowermentunlimited.net. Okay. empowermentunlimited.net. Also, you can access her on YouTube at Professional Aquarian. and on Patreon. She and I are both on Patreon, and you can find her at patreon.com/Kathy, Kathy, Biehl, Biehl. Kathy Biehl. And Kathy, is there anything you want to throw out there? We'll probably have this podcast up in the next day or two. I just want to make sure everybody understands this is being recorded today on March 3rd of 2026. So is there anything timely that you'd like to put up? I saw on Facebook you got something coming up that where people could interface with you, something you're offering coming up?
The one that is easiest for people to take part in is the evening of Tuesday, March 10th. I have a Take Your Energy Back session. It's like 75 minutes. I have a whole lot of freely available techniques for pulling your energy back and cleaning it out, but there's something about doing it in a group and doing it with somebody leading you through it that makes it all the more impactful. So if you go to empowermentunlimited.net, there's a big orange stripe really close to the top, and it has information about that. And if for some godforsaken reason you are near the northernmost parts of New Jersey on Saturday the 7th, I'm doing an author appearance at a wonderful bookstore called Black Dog Books. The Black Dog will be in attendance on Saturday.
Nice.
It's in a town called Lafayette, and I will be doing readings from the two books that I talked about and serving tastes of the book tale that I commissioned. There is a witch in Michigan who is a potionist. She's a potion master, and I commissioned a cocktail for that book, so I will be serving it.
Oh, I wish I was there for that. That would be so fun. What a great way to run that. Quick sidebar, super quick. I always wanted to own a bar, and I wanted people to come in, and if they sat in the red stool for $6, I would make them a cocktail based on how they're feeling. If they're really sad, they're not getting gin. I'll just tell you that. So I think that'd be so fun. So you guys, you heard everywhere Kathy is going to be and what she's doing. And, usually I give a little blah. This is what I'm doing. I'm not going to do that. Go to my website if you want to find out what I'm doing. I want to focus on Kathy and what she's doing because it's been a major, major gift to have you on here. And gang, if you don't know what the Om Times is, or you've not gone online, or you've not heard their podcast, or seen the TV, or read it online, it's been around for a hot minute. And honestly, it's one of the very last zines out there. There used to be a lot more in the 90s. There used to be a lot more in the mid-aughts, in the 2000s. And the Om Times is one of the very last ones. And it's been vetted, and it's got some really great people like Kathy that write for it and contribute there. So check that out too, gang, because I have a lot of people who don't know it's there. I was so surprised. I'm like, how can you? Okay, wow. So check it out, you guys. And Gen X, we came up with all these zines coming out. So if you're not aware of it, go check it out, guys. Kathy, I want to thank you for coming on today. Thank you so much, girl.
Thank you for inviting me. It's always a blast talking to you.
Oh, same. Everybody, you all go have a wonderful rest of your week, okay? And I will see you next podcast.